Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Sean's Horror Corner. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Today, super excited to welcome back my friend Mike from Mike and Serial. Mike, how are you, sir?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. I'm especially excited. Maybe not 100% for everything, but I am excited that we are going through the Conjuring universe. I was very excited about all that.
Yes. Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun to get through this. A lot of films to cover. Mike was on with me a while back, and we went through the entire Terrifier franchise, and then did a live with our friend Isaiah from The Bitter Wolf. That was a lot of fun, and Mike and I kicked around a couple of things to do next, but we landed on The Conjuring, and we decided to do it chronologically. So rather than going in the order these movies were released in theaters, we're going in a chronological, and that's got us starting off with The Nun today is what we'll be talking about. Before, though, we jump in and get into The Nun and start talking about it, Mike, go ahead and take a minute to talk about what you have going on, promote anything you have coming up. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, so I will be doing a little bit more content. I took small break, but I'll be getting back into some regular content because I'm going to be covering some film festivals remotely. So in September, be covering Genre Blast. So you'll see a bunch of indie horror reviews coming from me. So follow Mike and Serial on Instagram and TikTok. That's Serial like the killer, not the box. And then, as always, I am asking people to and encouraging people to check out the Maniac Sock Instagram profile because I am producing a horror short film with my friends Isaiah and AJ. And the title is Maniac Sock. So you can find it at Maniac Sock Short, where you can get updates on what is going on. We'll probably be having some more updates soon. And then as this is coming out, we will still be in the middle of voting for the Sacred Crypt Awards for Voices from the Mausoleum. We host a horror show. This is the second year horror award show where we honor and acknowledge the indie horror community from all different mediums, from content creation to filmmaking and the filmmakers, as well as authors and their books. So right now we are still voting is still open. We have the nominations up. You can check my Instagram for all of that information and links are there too. But special shout out because I don't think I got to say this the last time that I was on the channel. But Sean's Horror Corner is nominated for a Sacred Crypt Award for Best Live Stream.
Yeah. Yeah, I was so, when you let me know, you and Isaiah both let me know the same day, and I'm so grateful. I was shocked to start with. I thought these guys are messing with me. There's no possible way, but at the same time, so grateful, so honored. I mean, I've been doing this almost 2 years, and I do it because it's fun. I mean, that's 100% why I do it. It's just because it's fun. I'm not looking for recognition or anything like that. This is just fun to me talking horror with my friends. But um, just the fact that I was mentioned and nominated. I mean, I know it sounds very cliche to say that it was an honor just to be nominated, but it truly is. It made my day. So thank you guys so much for including me. I really do appreciate it. That means a lot to me.
Well, yeah, and like I let you know too, and I want to just reiterate this to let everybody know because people do constantly thank myself and Angel for the nominations. And while we are 100% like we will take credit for like creating the award show and putting this out there for people, we do just want to let people know that this is a community first award show. So we get the right. And so for anybody who has been nominated, the community nominated you all. So like we just put numbers together and then we just
Right.
put a list. But obviously, like we have people that we're happy to see nominated all the time. And then we get
Sure.
to find new people to be excited about as well. That's the other thing that we really like is that a little bit like you start to see people interact and get to know new creators, new filmmakers. So that's what we hope people get out of this mostly
Right.
is that community connection.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because it's so important. And so anybody that did nominate and watches this, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. But the horror community just has amazed me in the last couple of years because people have heard me say before, and I promise I won't take a lot of time talking about this, but I didn't even know the horror community was a thing. As far as like I didn't know there were horror YouTube channels. I didn't know there were horror podcasts. I listened to a lot of true crime podcasts. Is what I was listening to. And just one day, I had listened to so many episodes and I was like, there's got to be something else out there. And I loved horror. I watched horror movies all the time. I just didn't know that stuff existed. And just one day, I'm like, I wonder if there's a horror movie podcast. Probably not, but I wonder. And so I start looking. And first of all, I was mind blown by how many there were. But the first one that I ever interacted with was Our Life in Horror, Brendan and Sam over Our Life in Horror. And I started listening to, because at that time they were a podcast, not a YouTube channel. And I started listening to their podcast and I found them on Twitter and started following them and interacting with them a little bit. And then I started finding other people, and Brendan and Sam invited me to come on their show. I will never forget it. That I was so nervous because I'm like, I've never done anything like this. How am I going to do this? But I went on Our Life in Horror's podcast and talked about Bride of Chucky with Brendan and Sam.
Nice.
And it was so much fun. Like we had so much fun. And then Brendan and Sam just started encouraging me to do something. And was like, well, I don't have the equipment to do a podcast. I don't know how I would even do that. But I was like, I have a computer. I could do a YouTube channel. Okay, I'll give it a shot. And so I started it just because I loved talking horror and was starting to meet more people in the horror community, such as yourself and Isaiah over at the Bitter Wolf. Later that horror couple, Robbie and Kaylee, and then the list just goes on and on from there about the amazing people Ken at Sledgehammer Horror, Kelly and Sarah at the Final Girls, Matt at Getting Offed, Aaron at A&B Horror Movies. Just so many. Like the list just keep, Horror 365, Slasher Radio, just so many amazing people out there. And the funny thing to me is now, because if I'm not at work, most of my time is spent either working on a video or trying to get something uploaded, cutting clips, which is fine. I absolutely love it. It doesn't feel like work to me. I absolutely love doing this. But because of all of that, I've said this to several people, my best friends are people that I have met in the horror community, but never met in person. I know people, but I don't really have anybody outside that I consider a friend, just a lot of acquaintances. So to be able to call people like yourself and Isaiah and Brendan and Sam and Robbie and Kaylee and Rob Humphrey at Slasher Radio, to be able to call those people my friends, even though I've never met them, some people are like, okay, but it's just the way it is. Some of the greatest people that I know are people that I've met through the horror community, and it's such a welcoming, fun place. So I love the horror community. It's so cool.
Yeah.
All right. Mike and I will get into, but definitely go follow Mike and Serial, follow Voices of the Mausoleum, go vote if you haven't done so already, and check out Maniac Sock. You and Isaiah and I talked about that a little bit when you guys were on with me a while, and it sounds so much fun. So I'm following as well, and can't wait to see what happens with that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can already tell. But we'll get into The Nun now. This film came out in 2018, but like I said, chronologically, it is the first film in the Conjuring franchise. Tagline for the movie is "Pray for Forgiveness." Brief synopsis: a priest with a dark past and a novice nun nearing her final vows are sent by the Vatican to Romania to investigate a nun's death and face a demonic force. Film released September 7th of 2018, directed by Corin Hardy, distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures, runtime of 96 minutes, $22 million budget, $366 million at the box office. Such a huge success at the box office. I'm going to mention a couple of members of the cast, but I might ask Mike to help me because I'm terrible with names. The gentleman who plays the priest, it looks like Damien Bitcher. Do you know if that's correct or how you say his name?
I think that is. I am also bad with names, so we will be doing a great job today. So, you know what?
Okay.
We will just use the movie's tagline and pray for forgiveness.
Absolutely, that sounds fantastic. And then we have, and I feel like I should know how to pronounce her first name, and I don't. Farmiga, I believe, is the last name, but how do you say her first name? Do you know?
I think it is. Give me 1 second to just double check.
Hers, I feel like I should know.
I want to say it's Thaisa. It could be Taysa.
Okay. Thaisa is what I was going to say. I just wasn't
Yeah.
sure. We also have Jonas Bloquet, I'm believing how you say that, Bonnie Aarons, and Ingrid Bissu. That's what we're going to say, and that's where we're going to stop before I butcher any other names. Um, before we move on, though, Mike, give me your thoughts on cast and characters for this film.
Um, so I will probably, there's going to be a lot of just not spoilers of the movie, but kind of spoilers of what I
Sure.
think about the movie because it's hard not to.
Absolutely.
Uh, on paper, this cast is solid.
I agree.
Um, I am very disappointed in the characters
Okay.
for the most part. Uh, I think this is a very flat movie when it comes to characters and the performances by the actors. I'll save what I really think a little bit later,
Sure.
but while this is the first movie in the chronological order,
Right.
uh, keep in mind that this is the fifth movie that was released of the
Right.
universe, and that has a big impact on what I think about this movie. Um,
It's fair.
but on paper, the cast looks good. I like these actors in other things that they have done. I don't particularly like most of them in their characters in this movie.
Okay. No, I think that's perfectly fair because again, it's not that I think, even watching this the other day, because I've seen this movie a few times before, but watched it the other day again to kind of refresh myself and get ready for this. And I think flat is a good word. These are all very talented actors and actresses in this
Yeah.
film, a very talented group. But there's something about this movie and these performances. And yeah, I'm kind of like you. I want to be careful what I say, but that flat is a really good word, and I don't feel like there's, I've talked about before being such a slasher guy. And I've said this multiple times. I probably said it when we talked about Terrifier. Being such a slasher guy, a lot of times you go watch slasher movies for the kills. You want to see,
Hmm.
what Jason's going to do, what Michael's going to do, what Art the Clown's going to do. Like that's why you go watch these films. You don't necessarily have to like the victims, but it helps if there are characters in there that you do like as well that you can root for a little bit. This movie, I don't know that I like any of these people. Um, I don't necessarily hate them. I just don't. I almost don't care about them, and maybe it is because they just seem so flat. It's
Yeah.
just like, okay, this is who we got. So I'm right there with you, 100% there. And again, it's nothing against these actors or actresses because it's very talented people that have put in some very incredible work in other things. Maybe this just isn't the one. What do you think about this story?
So here's where I'll get a little bit more into it because, again, so the writer of this movie has done several of the other Conjuring Universe movies. So I was very shocked to find that out because there's a lot that I do like. Even the ones that aren't great, there's stuff that
Right.
I like about them. So
Yeah.
this is where I'll say like what I really think
Sure.
is I am not a fan of this movie. And half it most of it has to do with that it's a very flat movie because the script is flat. There's no heart in this whatsoever in the story. They made a movie to base on a character that people liked of another movie, but
Right.
they made this movie. This is the definition of a cash grab movie.
I
This was
agree.
not made with any heart whatsoever. No disrespect to people involved in this. This was a from the production level, they wanted to make more money and guess what? This in 5 films, this was the highest grossing
Yes,
Conjuring movie. It was the first one to break 100 million, I think
you're
it
correct.
was.
Yes.
So that was the intention,
Right.
and you can tell.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
uh, because the characters were not written well, and that's why we don't care for them. Because if you think about it, we should really be loving our lead actress.
Right.
Like, we are supposed to be rooting for her so much. I don't care about her in the slightest.
Yeah.
And
I'm with
it's not because she's bad, it's because there's no character development for any of these people. The dialogue is flat. The I actually liked it slightly better on this rewatch, but that's like the smallest bit because the bar was in hell
yeah.
for me because when I first watched this movie, like I was furious.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry, that's my long tangent of
No,
no, I did not like the story.
I agree with you pretty much for the most part. I think you're 100% right. What this did was it took the character, they tried to take the popularity of Valak because so many people thought that Valak was terrifying in other films. And so they threw this out there to try to jump on that popularity and make money. And it worked. I think they tried to throw in maybe some jump scares here and there, but that's pretty much about it. You mentioned that on paper this cast looks great. I think on paper this story probably sounded better than what it turned out to be, because when I think about the plot and what happened in my brain, not having if I hadn't seen the movie, I'm like, that sounds interesting. Maybe that'll work. And then I watch it and it's just so mid. Like, it's just so mid. There are parts that I don't like at all. There are a couple of things about the film, and we'll get into that I didn't mind. But overall, it's kind of boring at times, which is disappointing. But yeah, cinematography, score, anything different there that you enjoyed, or not so much?
So, cinematography outside, gorgeous shots.
Mhm.
They did pick beautiful scenery, loved it. Obviously, like they were trying to go for the creepy vibes when they were in the abbey. I get
Right,
that, but that's where like you start to stumble a little bit too because there's a difference between being like atmospheric and dark
right.
and badly lit.
Yep, I
And I
get.
think we start to get into the badly lit category for this movie. Outside, gorgeous,
Sure.
beautiful movie. Um, but like once we get inside, because even I will say, I would have said I love the cinematography, but even in towards the end when we're getting into like different types of action shots and stuff, I thought there were some really terrible choices in
Yeah,
how things were shot. So
right.
didn't fully love it. And the score, which I used to like I told you during Terrifier, I
Yeah,
never paid that much attention until like Terrifier, where I'm like, this mattered to me. The
yeah,
score was very important. And in here, it it's very important to me too, but in the opposite way where I did not think this score fit this movie because it this movie needed darker like music. It
right.
needed to if they're not given the script to like create suspense, then you need to create the suspense and tension with the sound.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And nothing with the sound made me like fear anything.
right. No, I completely agree with you, 100% on the score. And you were mentioning something else that I thought of. I really liked it when you said it because I actually made a note of it for myself. Is you talked about there's a difference in atmospheric dark and just poor lighting dark. And when I was watching this the other day, there were times where I actually thought, and that's why I made this note. This lighting is terrible because there are times where I can't see what the hell is even going on because
Yeah.
it's so dark. And that's not what I get the atmospheric part that adds to it, but when it's the lighting is so bad that you can't even see what's happening, it takes away the atmospheric part, and then you're just sitting there like, what the hell? And that's
Yeah.
where I found myself a lot of times with this. So um, I think the first time I saw this movie, I was disappointed. I don't think I was as upset as you said you were. I was disappointed, but I'm like, okay, they tried, whatever. Um, the next couple of times, I don't know if I ever, until recently, sat down and watched it from beginning to end. I tried a couple of times and ended up being kind of bored and shut it off. And then went back and made myself get through it the other day since I knew we were going to talk about this. And the thing is it's only a 96-minute runtime. That's not bad, but it feels so much longer. It feels so much longer than
It
96
does.
minutes. Like I kept very seldom am I watching a movie. Well, let me take that back. If I'm watching a movie that I enjoy, I'm not looking to see how much longer it has, like that, or
Yeah.
looking at my watch and seeing what time it is. I paused this twice the other night to get an idea of how much was left of this movie. I just wanted it to be over. I was like, okay, I've seen this. I know what's going on. Can we wrap this up now? So I'm right there with you 100%. A couple of behind the scenes things that I'll mention real quick. Some of them we've touched on briefly, but this is Valak's third appearance in the franchise, having appeared in The Conjuring Part 2 and Annabelle Creation. This is actually the shortest film in the Conjuring universe at 96 minutes, although, like we just said, it feels so much longer. The film takes place in 1952, which is 19 years before the events of the first Conjuring film. Despite being, this is something Mike mentioned a while ago, despite being the worst reviewed film in the franchise, it is the first film to gross over $100 million in its opening weekend. I think so many people were excited about this movie because of Valak and just went out in, flocks maybe to see this movie.
Yeah.
And then so many people were disappointed.
And I remember the trailer. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I specifically remember the trailer to this movie, and it looked like a good movie. It
Yeah.
looked like a scary movie. It looked like it might be a little bit cheesy, like we're trying to scare you, but it looked like it was going to be effective.
Right.
Got none of that.
I agree. I agree.
But yeah,
One of the knocks against this franchise that I hear from other people is I hear a lot of people talk about The Conjuring is just people that don't like the franchise or just The Conjuring is just a bunch of jump scares. That's all it is. I can see it to a point, but I do think other movies in the franchise have more going for them than just that. This one, I think, tried that. It tried to get jump scares, but even the jump scares weren't that good.
well, I would say I understand why people say that too. And I think, like you mentioned, and we'll talk about them in different movies
Sure.
and stuff. But for the most part, like the first two Conjuring movies did have jump scares, but it wasn't about jump scares. Those
Right.
jump scares are earned.
Right.
And whatever people's thoughts on Annabelle not creation, comes home,
Mhm.
that has its own type of what it was going for. In this particular movie, I don't think this movie was trying to be campy at all, the way that I do think Comes Home was trying to be a little bit.
Right.
In
Right.
this particular case, I think they were just trying to rely on jump scares, but that's where you need the music, you need the sound, you need to set up an atmosphere for that jump scare to land.
Yeah.
In this particular case, it was just very much boo, boo, boo. And I think this movie is the only movie in the franchise to me that solely relied on jump scare. So I understand when people say that, but I think this movie was such a detriment to the entire franchise because people associate so much of what they felt about this movie to the
Entire
entire
franchise.
franchise. That's why this movie was damning to this
Yeah.
franchise.
Yeah. I agree. And it's disappointing, but yeah, I agree with you 100%. All right, let's get into the plot. We're going to start to walk through this a little bit. We open this film up with a clip from The Conjuring, and Lorraine, her vision of Valak. Then we get two nuns who are attacked by an unseen evil force at the Saint Cartha Monastery. One of them is killed. The other one, who later we find out her name is Victoria, she is able to get away, but then she hangs herself, and a local villager named Frenchie ends up finding her body. Mike, what did you think about the opening scene?
So the opening scene, it's promising. I
Right.
don't hate it because again, you're not fully. It's not a jump scare thing. They're setting a tone. They're making something creepy. They are building suspense. So I don't hate the opening. I think the opening is decent. I think
Yeah.
that's what makes the rest of the movie so disappointing is they
Yeah.
have a solid setup. Um, I enjoy that enough.
Okay. I think I agree with you. I don't mind this opening either. And in fact, when I got ready to rewatch this the other day, like I said, I was thinking I don't like this movie, but this is the way it starts, and we're going to cover the whole franchise, so I'm going to get through it. And then when I watched this opening scene, I guess I had kind of forgot about it a little bit because when I watch this opening scene, I'm like, this isn't bad. I mean, I'm not going
Yeah,
to say this is great, but this isn't bad. Like, what was I wrong? And
that's
then
what
the
I
rest of
thought.
and then the rest of the movie happens. So um, we next cut to the Vatican. We're getting a discussion about what just happened. We meet Father Burke. He gets sent with Sister Irene to investigate this. They end up meeting this Frenchy guy, and he leads them to this monastery. Um, they decide to examine Victoria's body. They end up briefly meeting with the very odd superior, which we'll come back to and get into here in a little bit. Frenchie leaves, and as he leaves, he gets attacked by an entity that looks like Victoria's corpse. We also learn a little bit about Father Burke's past, him, trying to save a boy during an exorcism and that going wrong. He gets lured into a graveyard by hallucinations of this boy. He gets buried alive by this demonic entity, but Irene is able to come and save him. We've gotten our character introductions. We've gotten some of Father Burke's past. We see Irene, helping him out. What were your thoughts here on this group of scenes?
So yeah, like where my issue immediately started, because like we said, it's a solid opening, and then we go into the Vatican round table,
Right.
and that's immediately where like the wind is sucked out of my sail.
Yeah.
Um, it wasn't ominous. It wasn't like dire feeling. Like they just went straight into like, oh, you need to go here.
Yeah.
Take this girl. She knows the
Yeah.
territory. Like, you know what's happening, and he's going there with like knowing that he has to investigate something. Like, there, I did not feel that urgency. And then every step of the way, it was the same thing. We meet Sister Irene, and I get that we were probably supposed to find her endearing with the children, and see that she's different than Mother Superior and
Right.
all this stuff. And I was just like, I don't care. Like
Yeah.
you're not interesting. And then their conversation was so bland. Like every time we met someone new, the conversations are so bland. They're so uninteresting, and you can blame so much of it on the dialogue, but I think this just became a everybody phoned this in. I don't think anybody wanted to be here
Yeah.
because the line deliveries were flat. Like everything that we did there, because then there were like even like supposed to be comical parts that I was
Yeah.
just like, okay, like a little funny. Um, but every step of the way, I'm just like, I care about no one. What's going on? I'm bored.
Yeah.
This, because here's the thing: we get into chunk of this movie. It's 15 minutes in, and I already thought we were like 35 in. I'm waiting
Yeah.
for, and I'm like, wait, we're only here.
Yeah.
What's going on?
No, I agree with you 100%. And I like what you said even about the Vatican scene because there's not a feeling of urgency there. It looks more like a business meeting than it
Yeah,
does that they're actually trying to stop some evil force and figure out what's going. There's nothing there. There's no feeling. There's no urgency. There's no anything. And then I agree with you 100%. As soon as we start meeting, uh, like I said, Father Burke and Irene, and they meet Frenchie and they get to there. I think the scene with the superior was supposed to be, I don't know, mysterious or something, maybe, but it didn't feel like anything to me. So yeah, very quickly into this film, as we're getting into this, I was like, okay, yeah, this movie's boring. I remember this now. This movie is just boring. The scene where Father Burke gets buried alive and then Irene saves him. I think the first time I saw this movie, I didn't mind that scene. I was like, okay, it's something. It's okay. But even watching it this time, I'm like, I don't feel like Father Burke's in any danger. I don't feel like anything here. Like it just, and not just because I've seen this and I know she's going to save him, but there's just, I don't feel anything. Like this is just happening.
even if he was in danger, I don't care.
Yeah, yeah. If he dies, okay, whatever.
Like that's the biggest issue is we're a chunk in, and while yeah, maybe we're not supposed to know everybody so deeply yet, although we do find out a lot about uh Father Burke already,
Yeah,
and then we things happen to Frenchie already, but I'm like, I and I think we're supposed to like love Frenchie.
I think
I
we're
think
supposed to.
like I think he was written to be like that side character that just everybody gets behind. And I'm like, I don't care about him. And
Yeah,
then, like you said, Father Burke being buried alive, I'm like, okay, like what's gonna happen?
yeah.
If he was taken out there, it does nothing for me in the movie. I'm not invested, was never invested in him. So if she has to do this by herself or with Frenchie, okay, fine, let's move
Right.
on.
Yeah,
And
I'm with you 100%. I think Frenchie is supposed to be that character that everybody gets behind and likes, and maybe even finds amusing from time to time. And I just didn't any of that. Like I didn't care about him either. And even the story itself. Now, most people that know my past a little bit know that at one point I was a minister. I was a minister for 9 years. I was not in the Catholic Church, so I was not a priest. So I can't speak for how they run things. I can tell you from my past involvement in the church, um, it blows my mind when I try to think of this film and make sense out of it. That a priest who had already had this failed experiment where this exorcism went bad and he lost this boy and he's kind of got a dark cloud over him. Why the Vatican would send him to investigate anything makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. Um, you would think they would take someone who had a good record and, and not just this guy. But they didn't act like they cared anyway, so maybe they really didn't care. I don't know, but yeah, it just I'm with you. I was bored, not caring about characters, any of that at this point. Um, the next day, Sister Irene meets some of these other nuns. She learns that they're swapping shifts, praying all day to try to keep this evil entity at bay. We find out that the abbey was built during the Dark Ages by this duke who was obsessed with the occult. That he had summoned a demon, but then these knights were able to kill him and trap this demon using a vial filled with the blood of Christ. But some bombings during the war caused this to all open back up and release the entity again. Father Burke, doing some investigating, learns that the demon is actually Valak, and he also discovers that the superior that he and Irene met earlier has actually been dead all along. Did any of this interest you anymore, or was it just more boring stuff that you wanted to be over?
so this part is a double-edged sword because it makes me more mad that we didn't get something good out of this because while it's not the most original story, I do like the whole like uh demon tries to take over space. They holy warriors basically defeat
Right.
him and they're able to use the blood of Christ because in this world we are to and everybody's allowed their beliefs. So
Absolutely.
before I get into this, everybody's
Absolutely.
allowed their beliefs. But in this particular movie, in this world, we the viewers are meant to believe that Jesus Christ actually exists because they used his blood
Right.
to seal this demon away. Uh, I think there's so much cool there. I think there is a way to really make that work.
Mhm.
But again, I think the issue is we didn't want to we didn't write a cohesive story. We worked backwards, and in this particular case it didn't work. We've had a character that we wanted to surround a story around, so we made stuff. And then yeah, so we'll get there, but like I thought that was pretty cool story wise, but they did nothing special with it.
Yeah.
And then when we find out that the mother superior that we met, it wasn't her, like, okay, cool twist if you didn't see it coming, which come
I don't know how you
on.
couldn't. Yeah.
Like eh, and again, I feel so bad because I know people work hard on things, but this is another issue of set the tone, like create some dark, like, imagery, get some good sound that builds up this tension. Because when we're like discovering all this twist information, there's nothing in this movie that's signifying like this needs to be a pivotal moment for the viewer. And like, again, I know there's so many people that don't need to be spoon fed in their horror. I've
Right.
mentioned this on one of the episodes. I'm pretty sure it was here where I do need to be spoon fed. I want to be spoon fed. Think that I am the dumbest person in the world. I want you to spoon feed me my information, my moments.
Right.
I want that direction because you are the director.
Right.
Direct me to
Yeah.
this information.
Yeah. Tell me the story. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it made me more mad that there was potential to this movie.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it because I'm kind of with you there. I felt like this section of scenes did have potential. There were some things here that could have worked. I just think it was poor execution. Again, with Mother Superior, like you said, because of the way we were introduced to her, if you did not see coming that that wasn't really there, that wasn't really her, uh, I don't know how. Like that was just so. From the way we were introduced to her, you knew something was coming with her. So that didn't really work for me, and that was disappointing. The story with the Duke and all of that, I mean, it's fine, and I agree with you. Like you said, people are entitled to their own beliefs and whatever they want to believe. My problem with that is because we are led to believe in this world that the blood of Christ that's in this vial is the most powerful thing there is, right? This is what can stop these evil unseen forces. This is what can hold them in check. That's how powerful it is. Powerful enough to hold a demon, but not to withstand some building damage. That also bothers me a little bit. This all powerful thing that can control unseen spirits cannot handle it when a foundation cracks a little bit. That bothers me. And yes, I realize it's more than a foundation crackling a little bit, but you see my point. Like, even that doesn't work for me. So it was just very frustrating to me all the way around. And the other part of this that bothered me is because this movie is based off of the popularity of Valak. When Father Burke figures out that that's who this demon is, that part of this movie takes about a minute, and then that's all we get for Valak. That's what we're basing this entire movie on, and we really couldn't even give us anything interesting there. I would much rather have got some really cool, badass Valak story than this Duke and all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is why we made this movie was Valak, and our introduction to her is going to be basically like a minute of Father Burke reading in a book that that's who this demon is. It just bothered me.
And very late into the movie.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, I agree.
No, I agree with you. The biggest issue, because again, we said like this movie lacks heart because we were trying to make a movie around a character and not make a movie that had this character.
Yeah.
But yet we treated it as a movie that just has the character because this movie is called The Nun and the picture is of Valak. So we're meant to get Valak, and we don't get that much Valak in this movie. So you're pissing a whole bunch of other people off. You made this movie about Sister Irene, basically, which again,
that was your nun.
Fine, but that's not what you sold us.
Right. I agree 100%. Yeah, they made this movie called The Nun. They were talking about Sister Irene. The rest of us thought they were talking about Valak, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't really work out at all. We do, now that we've got Valak, we do get Irene being attacked by Valak. She goes to pray with the other nuns, trying to deal with all of this. Father Burke also gets attacked by the entity of this little boy, which is also unnecessary. I don't even know why. We already know what happened with that. We don't need this thrown back at us as well. We really just need Valak, but we're still going to push this storyline as well. Um, and then Irene learns that the other nuns aren't even real. That Victoria was the last of the nuns, that she hung herself so that Valak could not possess her. Um, I'm going to be honest. I don't mind that. I don't mind that little subpart there that these other nuns aren't even real. And this is, this is why Victoria hung herself. I'm okay with that. That I did not see coming for these other nuns and things like that to not even be real. So that part, I'm like, okay, I'll give you that. Finally, something works a little bit. But even it doesn't work well enough to fix everything else that's going wrong. And like I said, I don't think we know what happened with Father Burke. We got his past, all of that. I don't think we need this entity also using the little boy here because, again, like we've been talking about, we were sold this movie based on Valak. Like that's what we want to see. And instead, we've got Frenchie being attacked by a ghost that looks like Victoria, Father Burke being attacked by the entity of this little boy. And I'm just like, this is it's not what I want to see in this movie.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts here?
Yeah, this was just another case of divide and conquer, obviously, for like the
Mm-hmm.
main characters, and everybody's supposed to have the thing that they overcome. It works only if you give us characters to care about.
Right.
I think for me, I'm with you, but for like a different type of reason.
Okay.
Because same thing of we didn't need that. You're selling us on Valak. We really didn't need it, but I can understand like we need to give Father Burke an obstacle if he's still alive at this point.
Sure.
So you have to give him an obstacle. Why not give him the thing that he's daunted about?
Yeah.
But I don't care about him.
That's yeah. I think you're 100% right because that's the problem. If I cared about Father Burke, then I wouldn't mind seeing him overcome his problem, but I don't. So this is just unnecessary to me. But I see what you're saying. I
Yeah.
didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's basically it. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is for me is that you're putting these main characters in situations that we're supposed to be rooting for. We're supposed to be stressed because I guess this is the tense and suspense here.
Yeah.
Uh, but I'm not tense at all. I'm
Yeah.
not feeling the suspense because I don't care if any of these people live or die.
Right.
So you get no suspense here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you 100%. Um, we move on then, and so now we have Irene, we have Father Burke, and we have Frenchie. They're all determined that what they, they figure out that they need to seal this back up. They need to seal this rift again with the blood of Christ. That there's more. They've got the key that they got from Victoria's body to go do this. They get briefly attacked again. Um, Father Burke decides to basically raise Irene's status as a nun so that she can deal with these things. And then we get, they're battling. Father Burke has a part where he's battling now with some more nuns that turn out to all be demons. Irene gets possessed by Valak for a moment, but Frenchie is able to rub the blood of Christ on her face, which frees her up. Valak now tries to drown Irene, but somehow she got this. Well, I guess while she's underwater, somehow she gets the blood there in her mouth. She spits it onto Valak's face, which ends up banishing her, and the rift seals back up. Um, Almost our finale here, kind of our final battle here, where things play out, and this is what we've been building up to this whole film. Did it do anything more for you here to give you a little bit better feeling, or were you just not interested in any of
No,
this?
it pissed me off more.
That's
Oh
fair.
my God, that's what it did. It pissed me off. Because here we are at the final battle, and this is where I said, like, normally I'll give so much of like the faults of a movie to the director, the writer, if it doesn't work out. And in theory, it still does land on them a bit. But this is what I was talking about with the cinematography and the sound design and the silly shots that we're getting
Yeah.
that just make it super cheesy, but it could have been a little bit better with a better sound design. So there's like a scene where she's getting possessed and she's floating forward like
Right.
on her tippy toes, and that's supposed to be like this big moment, and oh, she's being possessed and this is so scary, except the tone isn't there. The
Yeah.
sound, like, it's not ominous sounding. It's just very like paint by numbers. Oh, let me look up what is horror music. Click. Um, and the shot looks silly without good music.
I
Had it
agree.
been good music and they put like some wind on her and make it seem like, oh, the world is gonna crumble right now because she is possessed by Valak the Defiler. We call
Yeah.
him the Defiler or her the
Right.
Defiler. Like, we're supposed to get this big moment, but you're not giving us anything grand. You're just giving us a silly shot. So that shot pissed me off. The drowning stuff, like, we're getting these moments, and in all from the last uh, scene that we talked about into this scene, this is where like this is just jump scares. This
Yeah.
is just like unearned jump scare. This is just popping. This person's doing this. Boo here, boo there, and I'm just like, the setting you gave us, the religious horror is scary by default to so many people. You're giving us someone that we're already scared of from two other movies,
Right.
and you're not making us scared at all.
Yeah.
Um, so no, I did not enjoy this final battle, and I won't skip ahead, but just for myself to remind myself,
Sure.
there's something that happened when Frenchie saves um, Sister Irene the from Valak, like
Right.
he puts the blood of Christ on her, so Valak escapes. I have a question about that for something forward. But then the other thing too is these rules, like, they're playing fast and loose with these rules, because like he updates her to nun status so that she
Right.
can do whatever. But Frenchie and Father what's his face
Father
are
Burke.
not even supposed to be there
Yeah.
because of the rules. It's
Right.
cloistered, or whatever they said. Like,
Yeah. The
it's,
term. Yeah.
I think it was cloistered. So that meant like only only nuns can be on that sacred ground.
Yeah.
And yet there they are, because the rules don't apply here, but yet
Yeah.
you needed to update her to nun status.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
I agree. And it's so funny you said that, because that's another thing that I made a note of that bothered me, because I'm with you here. You mentioned that this particular set of scenes pisses you off even more. This is the set of scenes that actually aggravates me. And it's for the exact same reason, because again, I feel like there was potential. There was something here that after all the bullshit we've been watching could have worked, but it didn't, because the score wasn't there. The atmosphere really wasn't there. You finally had a chance to do something, and it too fell flat. And yes, I agree with you 100%. I was more bothered by Frenchie than I even was Father Burke, because yes, it's supposed to be just the nuns. They've mentioned that. That's why he didn't go in when she went and met the other nuns, is because of all of that. The fact that he's a priest, I'm almost willing to let it go. But we had to promote her status to a full nun so that she could deal with this. And then Frenchie, who has no involvement in the church whatsoever, is the one that gets rid of Valak for a second, at least the first time, that's able to save her. It just makes no sense. This story is terrible. And between that and the lack of the score, the lack of the other things here, here's where I got aggravated with the movie. I'm like, I've been sitting through what's felt like 2 hours to get to this, and it just falls flat. And it's so frustrating to me.
Yeah.
We'll move to the actual finale, because here's where you wanted to go next. The three of them then begin to leave the monastery, and then we see that Frenchie, who has revealed now that his real name is Maurice, he has this upside down cross in the back of his neck. So Frenchie is possessed. Father Burke and Sister Irene don't know that, but Frenchie is possessed. And then we cut to the Warrens, giving a seminar about Frenchie in his older years being possessed, him grabbing Lorraine, and her having a vision of Ed dying, trying to tie this all back in together. Go ahead, Mike, and give me your thoughts because I think I know what's coming on this finale.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Frenchie saved Sister Irene by rubbing the blood of Christ on her face, which
Correct.
expelled Valak from her body.
Right.
Correct, right? Like,
Correct.
we're all in
Yes.
agreement that this is what happened.
Yes.
So, if he rubbed the blood of Christ on her face with his hand,
Yes.
how was he possessed?
Yeah. I completely agree.
How is he possessed? He
Yeah.
has the blood of Christ on him, which saved one person, expelled out the demon, and yet he's possessed. It makes no sense. It makes me very upset. Uh,
Yes. Because you
I'm
get a
sure there's someone
scene.
who has an explanation, but I guarantee you it doesn't work.
No, I agree with you because there is a scene before this happens where Frenchie's being attacked, and I think that's what they want you to believe is that's when he got possessed was during this attack. But they are forgetting what you just said, that before it's revealed that he's possessed, he's touching the blood of Christ and saving Irene with it, which if he was truly possessed would not have worked. So it's almost like you said, it's almost like they're when they put this together, it just I don't think they were even trying to make sense of anything. It was, oh yeah, now we can make it so that Frenchie's possessed, so we can tie this back in with the Warrens. And we forgot that we just had him doing this a minute ago, but it's okay. So, yeah, it just doesn't work for me either. I knew that's what you were going to say. That bothers me about the end of this film as well, because had that not been the case, had they not done it this way, that might would have been a cool little twist at the end. Oh, Frenchie's possessed. Okay, the ward has dealt with him. That's fine. But you ruined it um, by by him saving Sister Irene. So it's also frustrating to me. 100%. I agree with you.
Yeah. So that again, I get people always want to do a twist, but please think your twist through.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather have no twist than a bad twist.
No, I completely agree with you. Um, that pretty much wraps up The Nun. Is there anything else, Mike, that you want to say about this movie before we try to give it a rating?
Okay, one thing I did forget. So I will give this movie one particular thing that I thought was really cool, but again, they squandered it so quickly. Is when we do realize that the nuns, that everybody is basically a demon or doesn't
Yeah.
exist kind of thing.
Right.
There is a shot of the nuns with like the black cloak over their face, but it's just a bunch of them. That was a creepy shot. There was so much
I
potential
agree.
to do something there. But like that's a shot that I'm like, that's a beautiful like for people who love horror, because other people would be like, why would you have that hanging on your wall? That's
Yeah.
a cool shot to like pick, print out, frame. That's a cool
Right.
looking shot. But they did nothing with it. That's the only thing I wanted to say because I do like that shot. For as much as I have been ragging on the cinematography throughout this movie, I do appreciate that shot.
That is a good shot. And let me ask you a question because we've pretty much covered all of it, and we were talking about cast and that kind of thing. What do you think of Bonnie Aaron's performance as the nun, as Valak in this film?
So this
Was
is
she
what
flat as
really
well, or were you okay with it?
this is what really upsets me here because no, she's not flat. It's just she was so irrelevant in her own movie that
Yeah,
when she did appear, it was like I said, the way that they made her appear was like somewhat cheapish jump scare moments. I think she did the best that she could,
I
and
agree.
she is a great character actress. I think this movie did her no favors, but I won't put that on her because she's fantastic in the other two with the little that she has to do. And
Right.
here, she did what she could. I just was so over this movie by the time we get to her that I don't think of her, and that
Yeah,
is awful in your a movie that is about your character.
right. No, I completely agree with you. And I meant to say that when we were talking about the casting characters earlier, and I forgot because I'm with you 100%. I think with what she was given, she did fine. I don't fault her in any way, shape, or form. She just wasn't given anything to work with because of the
Yeah.
way they did this movie, which is disappointing because she is great as the nun in the small roles that she has in some of the other films. So to do this to her in this is terrible, but I don't fault her. I still think that she's fine. They just didn't give her enough. So on a scale of 1 to 10, Mike, what would you rank the nun?
This is me being generous. This is a 3.5 out of 10.
Okay. No, I'm with you. I actually said a 4, and I felt like I was being very generous because I feel like I don't feel like this is a good movie. I don't know that I would go as bad as to call it terrible. Um, I just don't think it's good. There was potential there for so much better, and it just didn't happen. I know other people that do like this movie, and it's people that I think the people that like this movie, and I can't say this for everybody because I'm sure there's differences, but there are some people that just love this franchise. They love the Conjuring franchise so much that they love every single part of it. I just talking with someone the other day, and I said something about I was going to go watch The Nun, and I had one person tell me that trailer looks so scary. I've never watched it. I want to, but it looks so scary. I've never seen it. I had another person tell me that movie scares me so bad, especially if it's dark in my house, and I'm like, hmm, okay. But I mean, I've seen it multiple times, and I don't know. I just don't think it holds up that well, which disappoints me because I want to like this movie. I really do. That's why I've tried multiple times to rewatch it and watched it again the other day because I want to like the nun. I love Bonnie Aarons as Valak.
Yeah.
I've seen some things out there. I saw the other day. I'm a collector. I collect a lot of things. I saw a Toonie Terror. I love the Toonie Terrors, and I saw the nun Toonie Terror somewhere, and I was like, I'd like to have that. That's pretty cool. I mean, I want that one. I want to like this movie. I just don't. There's worse. I've seen a lot worse. So I will generously give it a 4, but that's very generous. And if I watched it again, I might drop even lower and run out of generosity at some point.
Well, this is what you mentioned earlier of people like loving this franchise, and this movie should be glad that I love the Conjuring universe so much because I'm giving it a 3.5 only for the reason is I will call this a terrible movie. Like for me, I will call this a terrible movie
That's
because
fair.
it's like I said, it's lifeless. And that's the issue with it is that it's a cash grab movie and that
Sure.
really upsets me. And I think as much as I know people will say they're all cash grabs once you start like going further and further into an IP, I don't think that's the case. I don't think just because a franchise or an IP goes like 10 sequels in that it's just cash grabs. I think when
Right.
you're writing it with no intention of creating something that moves the movie forward in some
Yeah.
type of way or the franchise forward in some type of way, then I think it's a cash grab. And that's where this one is. I don't think any of the other movies are cash grabs, in my personal opinion. But I so usually like once a year, sometimes like maybe once every 2 years type of thing, I will do a marathon of the Conjuring universe. Like I
Okay.
will wake up at midnight and I will stay up watching them and I
Okay.
don't skip any movie,
Okay.
including the night. And that's why I
Including
always do things in chronological order so that the nun's
right.
the first one out. Um,
Fair.
and like this movie, with the exception of watching it for this, but when I do like the marathons, this
Mhm.
is a movie that I have no issue. Oh, I gotta get up and pee. I'm not pausing it. Oh, I'm
Right.
gonna go grab my snacks. I don't mind not fully paying attention to this movie because it doesn't deserve my attention.
Nope, that's fair. I think another reason I give it a 4, and it's still too generous because I could have done. I know there is a movie in this franchise, and I'm not even going to hint at what it is right now. There is a movie in this franchise that I am not a fan of at all. down the road a little ways. And it's been a while since I've seen it. I just remember only seeing it once and being incredibly disappointed with it. And I have a feeling I might rank it lower than I might would rather watch The Nun, as bad as it is, than watch that movie again. So that's another reason I'm going with a 4 here, is because I want to give myself room for one lower score if it's coming. Now I may rewatch it and be like, oh, that's not as bad as I thought. But the one time I saw it, I was disappointed with it. So I'm trying to leave myself a little bit of room there as well. But still, that 4 is really generous. So that is it for The Nun. Now, doing this chronologically, like we said, the next film that we will be covering in this is Annabelle Creation. Been a while since I've seen that one. I'm looking forward to watching it, and of course having Mike back on to talk about it. And Mike is going to be with me for a couple of more things that I'll get into here in a few moments. But before we wrap up, Mike, go ahead again and take a minute to promote what you're involved in, what's going on, and tell people what they can look forward to.
Yeah, again, so any updates, just follow the Instagram Mike and Cereal. That's Cereal like the killer, not the box, because that's where I put mostly everything on. And from there, you can follow Maniac Sock Short also on Instagram. Like I said, there will be updates hopefully soon regarding that. I will be doing more movie reviews, and maybe if I say it now, it'll make me commit to doing it. But since the Creep Show, the Creep Tapes
Yes.
season 3 is coming up, I am going to be doing some Creep content as well, just to get us ready for the new season. And you can also check the links on my Mike and Serial account or Voices from the Mausoleum Instagram account to check the links for the Sacred Crypt Awards. Again, voting goes until September 3rd. So you still have about like 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems like 2 weeks to vote. So make sure you go ahead and do that. Again, Sean's Horror Corner is a nominee, as well as a bunch of other people within Sean's Horror Corner community as well.
Yeah.
So many
Absolutely.
people are nominated. So go ahead and do that. And that's all I have for now.
Very good. Yes, definitely go check it all out. Go vote. Check out Voices from the Mausoleum. Check out Mike and Serial. Check out Maniac Sock. So much good stuff going on. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch and follow. And so, yes, go give all the love you possibly can to Mike and what he's got going on. Let's see what I have coming up. So, here in just a couple of days, I will have a episode come out on Hungry, the Killer Hippo movie that was released earlier this year. I've got an episode coming out on that here in just the next couple of days. Next week, lots of fun stuff. My friend Matt from Getting Off is back on with me. We're talking about Wrong Turn 4. Robbie and Kaylee at That Horror Couple are going to be on twice next week. One, we're talking about Rob Zombie's Halloween from 2007. And then we are also talking Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan. So that will all be next week. And on the 25th, live stream at 6 o'clock, Mike will be on, as well as Isaiah from the Bitter Wolf. And I think Matt from Getting Off may join us as well. He reached out to me the other day. He's very interested. He wanted to get to know Mike, and he wanted to get to know Isaiah. He said he's been watching my stuff and seeing the different people that I collab with, and he would love to meet some of you guys and get involved with you guys as well. So he asked if he could join us, and I'm like, sure, I think it's fine. So the 4 of us, myself, Mike, Isaiah, and Matt, are going to talk about the Black Phone films. That will be a lot of fun talking about those 2 movies, what we like, dislike, which one we like better. That will be live again on the 25th. And then the following Tuesday, September 1st, Mike is coming back again, as well as Isaiah from the Bitter Wolf. And we're going to talk about the Psycho franchise. So a couple of live streams coming up with Mike very soon. You're going to be seeing him a lot here on Sean's Horror Corner as we do those lives, as well as talking about Annabelle Creation soon. So be sure and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Lots of fun stuff coming. Follow me on social media. I'm pretty much on everything out there. Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, X, TikTok, Letterboxd. Just search Sean's Horror Corner. You can find it all. Leave me some comments. Let Mike and I know what you think about The Nun. So subscribe, like, share, follow, hype. You do all those things, and I will see you soon.